In this video, I'm going to talk about dealing with narcissists, manipulators, and people that like to use other people. We all get these people, and it's a challenge to deal with them because they bring a lot of stress, headache, and frustration. They suck the energy out of people. They suck time, money, and whatever they want. When it comes to dealing with narcissists, there's two types of people in the world. There's givers and takers. And you could feel it when you're around their presence. You can feel them sucking the energy out of you. You become stressed out, overwhelmed, and frustrated with the things they do, say, and how they behave. Now, dealing with manipulators and narcissists, it's hard to bring them out to the light because what they do is respond back telling people you might be emotional or you're overreacting or you don't know what you're talking about. And they try to make you feel guilty. They try to flip it on you. And I've had this experience many times. Now, the first one is to speak up, tell them what's wrong, what's going on, and just have that conversation. A lot of people don't have that confidence to be able to have that tough conversation. In order to talk to these people, you have to actually talk to them. You have to be okay with conflict. And if you're not okay with conflict, then I suggest reading the book, Crucial Conversations. It's a really great book. It's part of my master's program where I had to become a hiring manager and deal with kind of the pressures of managing people. And so I used that book as a way to understand that it's okay to have the tough conversations and you could still do it in a way that's respectful without condescending and without making more waves in the situation. I use this with a lot of people I've dealt with, just to be upfront, tell them what it is. I'm naturally outspoken and I don't really care. I'll speak up when I need to. When I see something wrong, I'll say it. What's right is right. What's wrong is wrong. And if you say something and you make an agreement, you commit to that. Now, when it comes to manipulators and narcissists, they like to bait and switch. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. And then after you get into the situation, they'll switch it up. And then when you call them out on it, what happens is that they say they never said that, or that there was no agreement. Now, that's where one of the things is, it comes down to documentation. I like to document all my conversations, whether it's text, email, things like that. And I let people know, nah, man, you told me straight up. Now, speaking up is important. As a person that may not have the confidence to speak up, it's important to understand it's okay to protect yourself. It's okay to stand up, speak out, speak your mind, speak your frustrations. Do it in a respectful manner. Try to not lose your temper because it's going to be very critical in this situation that you keep even keel because it will get intense. It always does. Now, many people don't understand that, oh, maybe if I ignore it, it'll soften up or it'll stop. It doesn't. When narcissists and people that like to use other people, they're going to continue to take. Takers take. That's what they do. It's natural for them. So they're going to try to bully and take stuff wherever they can. So it's important to speak up. Now, when you're able to have these conversations, then the second thing that's important is to set boundaries. You say, okay, this is a limitation. This is what you said. Now, in this particular session, you say, no, this is where it's at, and I'm done playing this game. You just got to set that limitation. It's like that when narcissists take, it feels like they're trying to take an organ from you, where they're trying to take your heart. They're trying to take your kidney. They're trying to take your spirit. They're trying to take your soul. Whatever they can extract from you, they will. And so it's important to set the boundary and say, no, I will not tolerate it. And it's important to say, no, I won't tolerate this. This is the limit, and you got to steer clear of here. Especially if it's someone that's very demeaning or condescending or abusive. Set the tone, match them. I recommend it. If you can't have a constructive conversation, then it's okay to match what they do. As long as you're not physically hurting them. That's the one caveat. I think it's important to be able to speak your mind, set boundaries. And if they come at you hostile, let them know you're not going to back down. Most of the time when you're dealing with narcissists, if you let them know that you're frustrated and you're capable of frustrations and anger and having a temper too, they'll stop. Usually what happens in my situations, because I try to keep calm at all times, but when I do let loose, I let loose like a Hulk. So it could get very scary. I had a situation before when I was in healthcare. A staff member just kept antagonizing me for months on end and wouldn't stop. And one time she tried to pinprick and just yell. So I let her have it back. What happened is she ended up crying and playing a Me Too game. And so I ended up getting fired, but it was a blessing because it got me out of that toxic situation. Now, I got fired because I was a manager and I'm not supposed to be yelling at staff. But if a doctor is out here being abusive and not being respectful, then I have the utmost responsibility and right to set boundaries for myself. I'm a human being at the end of the day, so I'm not going to tolerate someone talking shit to me or starting trouble. If you want trouble, I'll give it to you, but I'm not here trying to start it. And if you start it, I'm going to be the one to end it. Now, I got punished for it. Yes, what it is. But in hindsight, after talking with the management and the leadership team a few weeks after I left, the top guy essentially apologized to me. Now, he's not going to apologize up front and say, oh, I'm sorry. But what he did do is come back to me in person and say, I see what you see now. That's enough to say, I'm sorry. That's what he meant. See, the thing is, when it comes to people that are narcissists and manipulators, they think what they think. They have a one-track mind. They won't learn the lesson until you exit the situation. And that leads me to the third one. If you can't find a resolution, leave. Quit. Separate yourself. You don't need that type of trouble. You don't need that frustration or stress. There's enough problems in today's world being in the mid-40s or whatever age you are and whatever age I'm at. There's enough problems as it is. I don't need additional stress from someone else just because of their insecurities or their undeliverables or their limitations. So I choose to leave, which is typically the best thing to do. Now, most of the time, narcissists are going to say, oh, it's going to get better without you. Great. Happy for you. Maybe you stop messing with other people, but chances are they won't stop messing with other people. They'll identify someone else to try and mess with. But it'll take a toll when you leave the situation and they're not getting the support from a person that is a giver, right? So it's important to deal with these people in a certain manner, to let them know, like, it's not okay to take advantage of people. No one has the right to be condescending, abusive, demeaning, mean. It's not a right to use people. Me, everything's about respect. And if you properly respect people, you'll always have the people's loyalty. Now, some of these other types of individuals that are takers, the users, the manipulators, they're going to find a way to make you feel guilty and that grief. And it's because they want to take the power that you have within inside of yourself, which is the ability to give and help. See, when you're able to be a giver in life, anything you touch grows. Now, if you're a taker, you always plateau. You always have insufficient resources. You always have limitations. It's not easy to have a life of a taker. It gets worse and worse because the people around them know, oh, this guy is using me. I'm just going to stay away. And what happens is at the end of the day, after years on end or whatever it is, the situation, they have no more resources. So what they do, they actually leave. They move somewhere else and they start up again without learning the lesson. And they start that whole cycle process over and over. Now with givers, it's a frustrating life because all you know to do is help. And the thing is, narcissists and manipulators are good at identifying that and trying to use people. It's a difficult situation, but if you happen to be a giver, keep giving. Don't let narcissists stop you from giving. But if you're on a taker, you need to understand that you're going to be left alone with no people to support you. You're going to be on an island by yourself. If you think you're a great leader and you're just a taker, what's going to happen is you're going to be by yourself trying to lead other people who don't validate you, don't respect you, and they'll ignore you and they'll backstab you. They'll throw you under the bus. So dealing with narcissists, the simplest thing to do is just have that conversation with them. Set boundaries, be respectful. If they want to twist it up on you, let them know, explain, no, these are the things I observed and you're not going to do that. If they try to get aggressive It's okay to get aggressive back then. Set the tone that you're not going to tolerate the BS. And if all else fails, just leave. Let them figure it out for themselves. And don't look back. Don't regret. I've left jobs or positions that wasn't fulfilling. It was just taking the energy out of me. And when I left, I was able to recuperate, strengthen myself, redirect on what I wanted to do, and move in that direction. So with that, I'll check you out later. Be easy.